Man, The Return of the Jedi give you one of the greatest finales to a trilogy ever. Yet there is some problems, but it still doesn't take away from how awesome this movie is. Let's talk about Return of the Jedi, the finale to the original Star Wars trilogy. And to me, this movie was really good. It's possibly one of my favorite third films in a franchise. It is hands down a great finale. But we can all agree that this movie isn't perfect, and yet I don't care about some of the problems. I think this movie has been criticized too much. I think it's far better than half of the stuff that we get now when it comes to Star Wars. But I'll just lay out the problems out the way because I want to talk about the good about this movie. So I'll talk about the negatives for me, and the real problem that I had with this movie is just that the first half of this movie is just a rescue mission for Han Solo, and then things don't feel like they pick up until that wraps up. I mean, I do like Jabba. His presence was there, and I feel like they could have done way more for Jabba. I felt like he should have. If you're gonna introduce a character like this, I feel like he should have played a bigger role in the finale as well. But because they didn't, it just felt like this was just one big pit stop in the ending of the Empire. I mean, it was great to have Han Solo being rescued, but there was just so much going on. Like just the fact that like everybody comes by one. First the droids, Leia sneaks in. She ends up getting captured by Jabba wearing a slave costume, the infamous slave labor costume. Eventually, Luke Skywalker makes it in. Lando sneaks in somehow, and eventually they rescue Han Solo. But this takes up a good hour of it, and I don't know. I just like how cool would it have been if like all of this interference leads to Jabba, you know, getting angry at the Empire for getting in their plans, something like that, and then it could be like um Jabba's helping them. Like he could have been a good guy and a bad guy. That would have been really cool for Jabba the Hutt. But um for the most part, yeah, a lot of people criticize that this movie had a bunch of puppets in the beginning. There was a lot of CG that I hated here in the special edition, especially that awful song that they play that it just takes you away from it. But I've learned to separate that from the finale because the finale is fantastic. First of all, this is going to be the movie where we finally truly see the Emperor, Emperor Palpatine. Ian McDermott, one of the most brilliant castings ever. I cannot imagine anybody else playing him. He was so good that they brought him back for the prequels. That is how amazing his performance was here. Oh, yo, you rebel scum. Like you quote him, you love him. The Emperor Palpatine is really the one that is the one pulling the strings, and like later on in the prequels you get to see how he tricked Anakin into joining the dark side. It's just such a brilliant actor, character written. He's just top notch, one of the best. The reveal of Yoda talking about how there's someone else before he passes out, before he passes away. Obi-Wan letting Luke know that he had a sister, and it turns out it was Leia, which again makes this scene awkward. But overall, all of this reveal and twist leads into eventually Luke still feeling ready to fight. I mean, when Luke reveals to Leia that they're brother and sister, they, just take a deep dive. Like, I love that conversation where they talk about, seeing their mom, even though the prequels kind of ruined that, the way they told the story, but whatever, little plot details. Um, a lot of people hate the Ewoks. I don't hate the Ewoks as much as everybody else does. The rumor was that it was supposed to be a bunch of Wookiees, but that would have been way too much money. So then that's why they went with the Ewoks. I didn't hate it as much. I mean, it was kind of cool, like them breaking robots with logs and stopping the stormtroopers with ropes and rocks. Like it was silly, it was fun, but it is kind of hard to take it serious when um the last two movies were taken serious, and then this one felt more like it was more towards a toy commercial, if I'm making any sense. But to me, the biggest savior of this entire movie is the final battle where the Emperor is trying to turn Luke into the dark side because it was a request by Darth Vader. Um, he wants his son to join the dark side, and he can see it. And now that Luke has been fully trained, showcasing a green lightsaber. I didn't even talk about that. The green lightsaber was an epic reveal during the battle. Side note, they really screwed over Boba Fett. Justice for Boba Fett. They deserved a better battle if they were gonna do this. Anyways, we get to see the green lightsaber. There's a whole deleted scene of Luke creating the green lightsaber. That final battle of Darth Vader and Luke fighting, where Luke is trying to get away at one point. Darth Vader sensing him with the Force and saying like, "Oh, there is another. Maybe your sister can join us." Luke says no. He snaps. He cuts Darth Vader's arm. He sees that he also had a robot hand, and then in the prequels we found out how that happens. But that was so cool. And then like Luke almost joined the dark side, but he's like, "No, I will not kill Darth Vader. You know, my I'll be a Jedi like my father before me." Such a quotable line. The Emperor just electrocuting him. Minus the whole no thing from Darth Vader. It was awesome to see Darth Vader realizing his mistakes, picking up the Emperor and throwing him off the balcony. Side note, a second Death Star was kind of a stretch. I didn't think it was necessary for a second Death Star. Really, really dumb. I didn't like it. But I guess they were just like, let's just wrap this up. Even though they had 3 years in between to like fix certain things, but whatever. Anyways, I get it. They didn't have the budget for certain things, so they just went with a second Death Star, whatever. And because it was half built, it was easier to break. I love the callback to "I love you, I know," but this time with Leia and Han saying it to each other in reverse. Um, Han and Leia hooking up, and later Han finding out that Luke is Leia's brother. Darth Vader's reveal when he was all bruised up and all broken down, like that was a real interesting twist. But like it was nice to see, like, let me look at my son one more time, basically seeing his wrongs. And like you just see that Darth Vader was a broken down man, and we got to see that in the prequels, sort of, mainly in the Clone Wars series, if I'm being honest. um but they just did such a fantastic job with the end, and it just sucks that the opening in the beginning was, it felt like a waste of time. It wasn't a full waste of time, but it just felt like it. If I'm making sense. The funeral for Darth Vader with only Luke there, burning up the body, uh, giving a tribute to his father with nobody there. All the planets celebrating the end of the Empire, and then our main character celebrating with the Ewoks. Side note, I love the whole making C-3PO a god, because that's what the Ewoks saw C-3PO as a god was funny. But that shot of Luke watching the Force Ghost of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and then a mystery man. We're like, who is that? And then you're like, wait, that's Anakin Skywalker, an older Anakin Skywalker. I don't know how I'm conflicted on them switching it to Hayden Christensen in the special editions. It was really weird, but I guess they just did it just so people knew exactly who it was. I don't know. I kind of just, I'm a little shocked they didn't go with like the broken down Darth Vader. Like that was like the last image that Luke saw of him. But I guess, anyways, great finale. But yeah, it did take a little bit to get there, and yeah, a whole puppeteer. Honestly, the special editions for me was what hurt Return of the Jedi the most. At least with A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, they're just so iconic and so dark and gritty. And then this one felt more towards children, like a big toy commercial. But it still doesn't take away that this movie is still really good. I'll give it an A minus. It's still really good, and I really am happy that I got to rewatch the original trilogy yet again. The next review tomorrow will be my favorite Star Wars video game of all time, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Take care, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow with that review.